Basically, there's a ton of changes to iOS 18. iPadOS 18 got a lot of these same changes. Same home screen. You can make it look like puke. The control center is the same mess until you fix it. And now there is a new intelligent tab bar in certain Apple apps that will sort of float above the content of those apps, and you can change around the way it works. So it's basically like a sidebar that you're now putting on a tab bar.
That's clever.
Which I think is very similar to what Android phones have been doing, the bigger Android phones that have the little contextual bars at the bottom that let you hop around. I think they kind of took that from that. There's a new Share Play feature now, which is basically just for kids and people our age that have to do tech support for our parents.
It's exactly what it's for.
Yeah. So now you can
remote in.
Yeah, you can remote into someone else's iPad because of course your parent has an iPad. And you can show them your taps so that you can teach them how to do things on their iPad. And also you can just take over their iPad remotely and do stuff for them.
This.
Yeah.
Can you do it on a computer? Or do I also need an iPad?
Look, they showed it with another iPad, so I believe you need another iPad.
I think you need another iPad.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But the most impressive, exciting thing about the iPad, iOS 18, or iPadOS 18, is the calculator.
You did it.
We did, Joe.
I was so ready to dunk on this.
You had
They
the Craig clip already pulled up and
I had
edited.
it queued up. I was ready to send it. There's that. Okay, for those who rewind a little bit, the iPad has not had a calculator app for many years, and
Ever.
and to the point where it's kind of a meme. Like the iPad is the most powerful tablet in the world, but also why there's no calculator app. Like it's kind of a
They
joke.
needed M4.
Well, so then I finally asked Craig Federighi, head of software at Apple, and he wasn't kind of expecting the question, but he gave me one, which was, we haven't done it just because when we do something new, we actually want to be able to do it in a way that's like, wow, what a great thing that they did. So we just haven't gotten around to the calculator yet. And I, along with the entire rest of the internet and the entire comment section, went, that's kind of a joke of an answer. You could have done a calculator a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so they started to actually tell us in this WWDC, hey guys, we made a calculator for the iPad. And they showed the first screenshots and it looked exactly like the iPhone. And I was like, oh, you waited years to just give us this and there's nothing here.
Yeah.
And then they pulled up a button in the corner that said Math Notes. And he took off the Apple Pencil and they started doing handwritten math. And I went, oh, wow, they did it. They actually delivered on the promise of a calculator that is really impressive and unique for the iPad. Now, the spoiler is this is also coming to the iPhone, but we're going to ignore that.
Yeah.
We're going to ignore that because Math Notes is amazing. So what is Math Notes? Math Notes is literally if you like handwrite an equation, and it's mostly simple equations. It doesn't do calculus or anything. But if you just handwrite an equation, 3 + 5 equals, in your handwriting, just write equals, and it will write the answer. It will write the 8 in your handwriting, too, which is pretty sick.
It's pretty awesome.
It can do division, long division, order of operations. Any equation you write, you just hit equals, and it'll solve it for you. It'll recognize your handwriting and do the math. That's amazing. It can also do graphs for you. It can also do adjusting graphs based on sliding around your variables. It can do variable recognition.
You can set your variables at the top of the page, and then it will know that G is 8 + 14 + 9.
Yeah, it's
And the way you can adjust it is like if X is equal to 8, but you want it to be, it has like a slider and you can slide like up 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and like back and it'll change all of the equations that reference that.
live adjust in references.
David, G is actually 9.8 meters per second squared.
Yeah, that's true. It actually is. But that's
Actually 9.81 meters per second squared.
But the fact that it does all of that through recognizing your handwriting and in basically real time, I've never seen that before.
It's very impressive.
I don't know if I would actually use this, but if I was in 10th grade physics again, I would be using this. I would.
It's very cool. It works, like I was thinking about when I was in physics class, and it works the exact same way, where you set all your variables at the top of the page, and you start writing out the equations, and it just fills in everything for you. And the cool thing about this is it's not like taking away you doing the math in your brain. It's just taking away the parts that you had to punch into a calculator separately.
Yeah.
So you're still like, you still have to know like, okay, gravity is this. And so if I'm multiplying gravity by this, then you're getting this. You're still working out the equation on your own in your head. It's just that instead of punching something into a calculator, it's just doing that in real time.
Yeah.
Which is very cool.
You still need to know the y equals mx plus b. You still need to know like the equations you want to use. But the fact that it actually does the math.
Yeah.
I mean, it should. It's a powerful computer. But it does it.
And it works in a way where you can change a variable like lower down the page. So if you set g to something up here and then lower down the page, you say g equals this, it'll now know that g equals that just because it's lower down the page. So it works from the top left to the bottom right.
Just a lot of very well considered stuff.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
I think it's really cool. You said they delivered. Do you still think this was worth the 10-year wait to have a calculator on?
Yeah,
the
because
iPad?
Google can do calculations too, and I just did
This
that.
This was really cool and a great presentation. But feels like
You're not convinced.
to wait that long for a calculator. Like this was not worth not putting the calculator on.
I have never seen anything like this before.
I'm not saying I've seen anything like it before.
I think what Andrew's saying is they could have just done the basic calculator view and then added math notes later.
Which is true also. But the argument that we all called BS on was we wanted to deliver something really special, and we thought they were just going to do a regular calculator. Right. So the fact that they delivered on something really special is why
they delivered on something.
Delivered,
yeah,
I think.
Fair.
I
think it took just way too long.
I was going to say, could they have done this like 4 years ago? You think they needed their current capabilities?
You said this works A14 forward.
A14.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
which actually a few generations ago.
Yeah. So now that they've built it, and you may have an older iPhone or an older iPad, you can still use this, which is cool. But yeah, the fact that this comes from one of the other features, which we'll get into the AI stuff later. But Smart Script is another very interesting version of this, where it's not quite AI, but you can write in the Notes app in your handwriting, and it will, as you're writing live, straighten it to be on a straight line. It'll clean up some of your letters to be more legible.
Yeah.
It'll autocorrect.
It will autocorrect
in your handwriting.
It will justify. It'll justify it. So if you're like writing like this, it straightens it, and then it also puts it against an edge.
It's really. I think this is really cool, and like you can scribble things out and it'll just erase it. It's just
and like reformat and fill in the text where it was.
Yeah.
All of that is in the same vein to me. Like all of this is really clever and a good use of, like, if you happen to have an Apple Pencil and an iPad, this is potentially game-changing, awesome note-taking for you.
I need to see how it handles handwriting because I have horrific handwriting.
So we're working on some videos about these features and we're using them right now. I'm not going to show them on camera because we're technically not allowed to yet, but David, no offense. No offense. But your handwriting was a really good test.
It was in cursive.
It was a good test.
I wrote it in
David's 4 looks like a 9. It was a good test.
That's just embarrassing. I can't believe you brought that back up.
So we're going to try this a lot more, but I think that's kind of hand in hand with the math notes thing.
I will say I thought the math notes got it wrong, and then I just realized that my 4 looked exactly like a 9.
Yeah.
So you do have to have okay handwriting, of which I do not. But yeah, it's very cool. They thought it out really well. You can access Math Notes from the Calculator app. You can also access it from the Notes app. You can just hop into Math Notes from there. And the way that they index it is when you hop into Math Notes, it looks exactly like the Notes app. So you have all the separated notes that you can name, and you can like index by certain time and stuff like that. And it's just a separate section of the Notes app now, but it will open it in Math Notes.
You can save a bunch of them.
Yeah. It's really freaking cool. I honestly, if I was in 6th through 12th grade, I would buy an iPad for this feature.
I kind of want an iPad for just Smart Script. I think it's really cool, and I've been leaning towards wanting an iPad lately. I don't know. iPad needs MagSafe. I know they wouldn't announce it at this, but MagSafe on an iPad.
Wait, MagSafe or
MagSafe like for accessories on the back because I wanted a handle accessory that I can just pop off really easily,
Yeah.
or to be able to prop it up on things but not affect the actual
And
design without a case.
They couldn't have added it at WWDC.
Yeah.
But
Sorry.
I do want an iPad with MagSafe just so it can be like a smart home. Like we talked about that for years.
So
Guys,
That it could
stop
be-
leaking their
devil's
product
advocate,
roadmap.
there are a ton of magnets in the iPad already, and the way the folio attaches to the back, it's not called MagSafe, but it slaps on the back
So
with magnets.
here's exactly what I wanted for. Do you know how we have the robot iPad and I have that little handle on the back?
Yeah.
I had to adhere a piece of Velcro onto it. So if I could have a strap that I could hold with one hand that I could just onto the back, that's first party and I know it's going to hold it.
Okay.
And I can just pop it off.
That'd be sick.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Right now, you should put that handle on the folio. Like cut the front of the
will.
folio off and then like put the handle on the back of the folio so you can just pop the whole thing off. And it'll just slap on with magnets.
That sounds.
Or they can just add MagSafe.
yes.
I want it because I want it to work the same way that the Pixel tablet works,
On like
where
a
it's
dock.
like it's a visual Apple Home device that shows you your photos and everything. And then when you use your iPad, because I don't feel like I would use the iPad that often, but if it doubled as a home device,
Why can't I remember the name of the iPhone where it's like landscape next to your computer?
oh, that's called
Standby.
standby.
Standby. Imagine an iPad mini with standby. mode.
Exactly. Or any
And
iPad with
MagSafe.
standby mode.
Yeah,
Giant screen.
We
that would just be
finally-
huge. Just like
That's
a
the thing.
clock.
We finally have an OLED iPad, but it doesn't do standby.
Yeah.
like
It could if
Yeah.
they added
And
MagSafe.
they made it thinner, which I'm like, if you put MagSafe in it, then you have to put a bunch of wireless charging coils. So how do you do that?
I guess
with
they
how
would
thin it is?
want it to be. Yeah,
It's
they
it's
would
metal,
want it.
though.
I don't care if it's wirelessly charging,
can't
but
wireless
charge.
they're
It is
going to
metal.
want to make it.
It
like
is
that.
metal.
Yeah.
They'd have to. Maybe they could make a glass circle on the back or something.
Wait, why would it matter that it's metal?
Can't
Because you can't wirelessly charge through metal.
Yeah. Inductive wireless charging doesn't work through metal.
Really?
Yeah.
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 Really?
Yep.
Surprised you
Why
didn't
the
know that.
iPhone is glass on the back. Actually, most of the features that they announced at WWDC on most of the platforms are not in any of the betas yet.
Yeah.
So
So TBD on how well they actually
TBD.
work.
yeah.
But that's where you should just subscribe now so that when we actually do know, we'll be able to tell you.
Yeah.
There you go.
And using machine learning, your computer should have glowed when we said subscribe.
I was going to say, could you say like, Siri, subscribe to that podcast I listened to before?
That'd be cool.
That would be sweet.
That'd be cool.
Not
But
yet.
and then if
Coming this
I
fall.
say it out loud and it's playing on their speaker,
Yeah.
Ooh. Hey Siri, send this podcast to everyone in my contacts. Confirm. Yes. Go. Yes.